Actually, nowadays that renewable electricity is built all over Europe and all over the world in respect to windmill energy and solar energy, which is delivered inhomogeneously throughout the time. It's a good way to store actually electricity in the form by electrolyzing water to hydrogen, which then can be used as a form of energy to make methanization, to capture CO2 together with hydrogen in a form of methane. So it's in a way indirectly storing renewable energy to use it in later situations where we need it, and also can be used in the natural gas grid to be produced in one place and then used any other place in the cities, for instance. Absolutely. As you say, biogas plants produce not only the gas, the energy-rich gas, but also digestate. And this has been typically used directly as fertilizer in soils. However, some areas are heavily used a lot of fertilizer, so we have leakage of nutrients. So another way would be to extract these important nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, and then use them in a pure form in areas where there is not so much overcapacity of fertilization. Yeah, I will highlight, for instance, that in the past, biogas have been typically used for electricity and heat production. However, electricity is produced with other renewable methods, such as windmills or photovoltaics, solar energy. And that means at the moment we have overcapacity, we can easily produce electricity, renewable electricity. However, in other areas, we can save the biomass to make not only electricity as in the form of biogas, but make other products, high-value products, fuels, biofuels, aviation fuels, biochemicals from biogas. And this is what we intensively actually are investigating at the moment. And biomethane is one very important product because it can be used in the natural gas grid. And that means nowadays also, especially that we don't import so much natural gas from Russia, we can have actually use the biogas, the upgraded biogas, the biomethane in the natural gas grid. And this is extensively used in Denmark, where at the moment more than 40% of the natural gas in Denmark comes from biomethane. So, and the plan is in a few years that almost 100% of the natural gas grid will be supplied with biomethane. And this is not happening only in Denmark, but many European countries actually. And at the moment, currently, we have almost 1,700 biomethanation plants in Europe, and almost 900 are also in construction or in planning the next 5 years. So it's really going very, very fast now, not to use biogas for electricity production, but we convert the biogas to biomethane to be used in the natural gas grid. Well, there are many different lines actually they are followed by researchers, and I can mention, for instance, that nowadays we use of products. We look not so much to have biogas as gas, but we can utilize it to different products. One is biomethane, but there are also a number of other products we can use. Also, another line of research is we look into depth in the microbiology, how we can use the microbiology to optimize the process to a very high degree. Anaerobic digestion is not only stabilization of the waste streams and wastewaters as it was in the past. Nowadays we use it actually, the wastes, we use them as resources to make products. So this is the major transformation we have seen throughout the time. In the past we were building biogas plants more for stabilizing our manures, our wastewaters, but now we go much further than that. The biological biomethanation has been really very broadly applied in Denmark, and they have built a huge biomethanation plant based on biological biomethanation in Glancer biogas plant, which actually I think it's one of the first in the world that was using this technology and does not use chemical or physical methods to remove the carbon dioxide, but here we use hydrogen to capture CO2 in the form of methane. That means we don't now throw away the methane, the carbon dioxide, but we capture it in the form of methane with hydrogen. I think the large plants are more well organized, I would say, and they have more control about the leakages, and also it's very, very important to cover the after digestion plants because you can have methane emitting from them. So I would actually say also in respect to economy, the large biogas plants have a better economic feasibility. But the major actually thing that we should be careful to actually utilize completely our biomass and also the digestate the nutrients there, and be careful not to have leakages of methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas. I think actually we have to realize that anaerobic digestion is the way to renewable society. They play a huge important role, and this process is steered by microorganisms, and microorganisms are there to solve many of our humanitarian challenges. So anaerobic digestion will actually help us to make circularity, to use our wastewaters in a way that we can recycle and decarbonize our society and our world.